Hello, friends of Bliss. Welcome to this month's edition of What's in the Box, and greetings from our home stomping grounds here in scenic St. Louis, Missouri. We are coming to you from the patio of Olio, a restaurant that honestly is an amazing concept anywhere, but in St. Louis is probably my favorite place just to hang out in. This is a restaurant that 11 years ago I was the general manager and beverage director, opened with Ben Paremba, the restaurateur, on a complete whim. No one thought this would be successful, and here we are 11 years later. And I have the pleasure of being joined today by the lovely Alisha Blackwell-Calvert.
Hello. Hi.
One of the big, bright stars of the St. Louis sommelier scene right now, and 1 year now minted advanced sommelier.
Yes.
Hi, Alisha.
Thank you. Hi, Andre. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Can you tell us just a little bit about what you do professionally these days, and we'll jump into the wines.
These days, yeah. So I got my advanced certification last year, but a long journey to that point. I too have been a sommelier here at Alisha and Olio here in St. Louis. So definitely have that in common.
Yeah.
We also worked at Reed's American Table as well. So we have a history together, but most recently I've been working at Cinder House at the Four Seasons, and as of now I've accepted a beverage director position at the newly slated Madrina in Webster Groves here in the city. So yeah, lots going on.
Fantastic.
Happy to be here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And today we are going to be talking about one of our newer producers in the portfolio. This is Martin Obenaus, and this is a producer that is coming to us from Austria, specifically the Weinviertel region in the northern parts of the country. And this is the first time that Martin's wines have been imported into the U.S., and I met him at Vivinum 2 years ago, and almost 2 years ago. And I thought his wines were incredibly fresh and cool, and I thought he was an incredibly cool dude, so we decided to start working together. And considering we have Turkey Day right around the corner, these are perfect wines for said event. So let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So Alisha, while we're tasting through these, let me ask you this: as a sommelier, what do you think about Austrian kind of modern wine when it comes to just your first impressions?
First impressions, so not so much the modern movement, but more of the classics is my my thoughts on Austria. So Grüner Veltliner is the first thing that comes to mind. Classic grape, varietal that every sommelier and every consumer should know, and nice, bright, fresh reds. In the modern area, definitely more natural wines, biodynamic, sustainable. There's a lot more of those wines in the market that we should get excited about. So.
Absolutely. And I'm really glad that you brought up biodynamic, because so biodynamic viticulture, for those of us not super familiar with it, it's a farming practice that treats the vineyard as a closed ecosystem. So there's nothing that goes into these wines that are not naturally found in the vineyard itself. And Austria is the home for the Demeter organization, which is the most kind of stringent certifying body in the world. And it is aside from the farming practices that involve being kind of holistic and using that fully integrated kind of approach, they do things like harvest the cycles of the moon, and a lot of times that has gotten a lot of derision from the rest of the traditional wine world. And the way that I usually describe it is, well, if you can't explain to me that something that is the only thing on the planet that can force the change of tides and the way that our oceans work, you might not be able to explain why harvesting the cycles of the moon is beneficial. But you know what? It actually does make a difference. Just because we can't understand something doesn't mean that just because we can't explain something doesn't mean that it does not actually happen. And then the second thing about biodynamic farming is that it involves a winemaker that is spending a lot of time in the vineyard. And when you have somebody that is dedicated and really spending most of the time in the vineyard, like just really watching how plants themselves grow and how their ecosystem grows, generally speaking, you're going to have a really, really nice wine. So that's my little soapbox.
And I feel that in some most cases, the winemaker and the vineyard manager have a better understanding of their vines, of how they grow, and of what to expect.
Yeah.
So it's definitely beneficial to the wines itself.
So let's jump in. So the first wine today is not Gruner Veltliner, but it is its pink-skinned cousin, Roter Veltliner. Yeah, for all you nerds out there. And normally it is made into kind of like a pinkish, some slightly red wine, or it could be made into a white wine, it could be made into anything. In this case, what they're doing is they're leaving it on the skins and making it into essentially a very natural orange wine. The total time on the skins is about 3 to 5 days. It also does include the stems of the actual grape, and what you're getting here is that classic natural wine flavor profile. It's tart, it's herby, it's bright. It might be a wine that literally does better with food on the palate, so anything that has that really kind of savory and like that richer kind of quality, when you tie it together with this flavor profile, it just kind of really expands the complexity of the entire experience. Alisha, do you remember like when we used to work here, or when you used to work here, the use of these various types of wines, like orange wine, rosé, different flavor profiles and preparations of the wine, and how that affected like a cuisine as complex as the one that's here at Elia?
No, yeah, I think you're onto something there. So the cool thing about Elia and Olio, lots of Mediterranean flavors, lots of spices, lots of textures. A lot of times your more traditional or classic wines, you could say, have a hard time pairing with those flavor profiles. Very complex.
Or they're just not intense enough.
Right, they work against each other or just fall, kind of fall flat. Things with a lot of,
imagine this at the Thanksgiving table, like all the things that this would go well with and all the things that this would go well with. Like
aromatics is what I was thinking. Tons of intense aromatics, lots of profile there. It's really interesting wine.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving Day turkey would be perfect.
Yeah. And I do have to apologize. It's like, this is the first time that we've done the What's in the Box with yourself, and she's like really like trying not to say, Andre, like, what the fuck, man? Like, we've been doing this for 10 months, and the first thing you start me off on is a natural wine from Austria.
Yeah,
that's the easiest thing to expect.
Maybe Burgundy, or bring me champagne, or maybe
that's coming next month.
Growth. Yeah.
So once again, anything that I'm sorry, anything that you would do with like a casserole or any kind of like a vegetable dish, side dishes, stuffing, anything for the Thanksgiving table, this is totally like
really,
right up that alley.
Really vibrant wine, lots of refreshing acidity. It also has this really interesting, almost like a vinegar note, like a shrub, because it has a like savory note and herbaceous qualities here. Really, really tasty wine.
Yeah.
I think would be perfect with Tellagio or like really stinky, bloomy cheeses as well. I think that would definitely be a home run.
Yeah, no, that sounds actually awesome right about now. Let's switch to the darker side of the force, and we are going to try the two reds. So these two are similar wines, but one is meant to be a little bit more easygoing and kind of everyday, and the other one is a little bit more of a serious, complex wine. We're going to start in the middle with the Morot. MO for Martin Obenaus. Rot means red. It's not exactly something that translates super well, but we're gonna stick with it. This is a blend of Zweigelt, Pinot Gris, a little bit of Saint Laurent, and a hybrid grape called Rossler. And we're in the land of hybrids, so
yes, we are in Missouri.
Talk to us about what a hybrid grape is.
Hybrid grape. So we're talking two things that aren't supposed to go together, but do. So it's a cross of two grapes, two different species of grapes specifically. So typically maybe something like Venus Ferifera or anything else.
Venus rupestis or Estivalis or all the myriad of other grape species that are out there.
Several.
And so most table wine that we know of comes from a grape genus called Vitis
vinifera.
Vinifera, thank you.
Yes.
Aptly named. And those flavor profiles are what we consider like typical to be of wine. A lot of times when you're playing with hybrids, you're taking in flavors that are a little bit more tart, a little bit more stemmy, a little bit more herby. And so it's not exactly what traditional wine is looking for. But when you're talking about this particular style of winemaking with natural wine, what it really does is it really hones in on that really bright, kind of tart, crisp flavor profile that I think a lot of producers are looking for.
Yeah.
So what do you, please?
No, I'm glad you said that, because that is exactly what you find in the glass with the Morat. So you get that spiciness of the Zweigelt and St. Laurent. It's got some nice freshness to it, which I think, again, with Thanksgiving turkey, it almost mimics that acidity that you'd find in cranberry sauce, which I find really tasty. It has this vibrancy and this lightness, too, that I think is really lovely. It has some nice aromatic lift. A really fun wine, really tasty.
Very well said. The idea of food and wine pairing, as you all have definitely heard me say before, centers around having a bridge, something that's both on the plate and in the glass, something that ties flavors of the dish and the wine together. And here it's a really great point that if you're having cranberry sauce on the table, having a tart flavored red wine is totally up that alley. So what do you think? Good stuff?
Yeah, cheers to that.
Like, you know, for if you're throwing down $25 on a bottle of wine, this is not the worst thing to spend it on.
$25?
Yeah,
oh,
retail.
Value.
No.
It's a lot of flavor for $25.
It is, but that's modern Austria. It's definitely a rising star on the red wine scene, and if you like this flavor profile, it's definitely a place where you should be paying attention to the wines coming from. So let's taste the last wine. The biggest difference between these two for me, first of all, the second wine has a little bit more texture, density, and body. It does have an extra 1% whopping alcohol content, so this is getting nerdy, but when you have a red wine, it's 10.5% alcohol. There's a very small camp of wines in the world that can do that and still actually taste not like anemic. Yeah. Definitely. So this one steps it up to a whopping 11.5%, and you can almost tell the difference in color right away. It's just a little bit more purple, a little bit more inky. The grape is similar, the blend is similar. It uses Zweigelt, the most widely planted red grape in Austria, as the base, but then this one has a little bit of St. Laurent and Merlot, because, you know, why not?
Why not? It's funny that you say that Merlot is in the glass, because you can definitely
It
tell.
smells like Merlot, right?
It smells like Merlot. It has that nice plummy fruit. Texture-wise, you get that softness from Merlot. It softens the wine. It definitely kind of rounds out the edges of the Zweigelt, which is really lovely, but very approachable.
Absolutely. And we're talking about your Thanksgiving table. You know, we're talking about turkey, stuffing, various things. We're talking about cranberry sauce. I, have a little bit of a different background other than just American. So on our Thanksgiving table, we often feature things that are turkey and also other things like turkey, like duck.
That would be perfect.
And also a variety of meats as well. So if you are somebody that does ham on Thanksgiving, which is not sacrilegious, I promise, because we are here in the land of the pig, the various different preparations on pork and this wine, I think, would be absolutely great.
I 100% agree. I'm thinking roasted pork loin. I think that's the way to go.
Awesome.
Delicious.
Well, I think that we are due for a trip to Austria.
We should go.
Yeah, 5 months from now is Vienna.
Yeah, he never takes me anywhere.
Soon. But thank you so much for joining us this month for this month's edition of What's in the Box. Thank you so much for joining us for this month's edition of What's in the Box. I really invite you to go online to blisswineconcierge.com, sign up for our wine club, or just purchase some wines directly through the site. You can follow us on Instagram at blisswineconcierge, at exquisite vines, at Andrey Ivanov MS. And here is to a great turkey day, and
yes.
cheers.
Happy
Thank
holiday.
you so much.
Cheers. Thank you.